Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe and support me. The dense forest stood as a testament to time, stretching far beyond the horizon with trees that had witnessed centuries of history. The land pulsed with magic, every leaf, every whisper of wind, humming with ancient energy. It was here, on the borders of the Night Elves' territory, that the clash between magic and technology was about to begin. Tinker Thrawn adjusted his goggles, the lenses flicking between different magnifications as he inspected the small mechanical device in his hand. His workshop, though temporary, had all the precision of a Gnomish laboratory. Metallic tools, all meticulously organized, shimmered in the soft light of his lantern. The air smelled of oil, metal, and progress. Just a few more tweaks, and we'll have it, Thrawn muttered, tightening the last screw on the small anti-magic drone. The device whirred to life, its rotors spinning silently. He smiled to himself, pushing his goggles up to his forehead. This would be the key to the future, the end of the arcane dominance that had stifled true progress for centuries. Magic, in his mind, was an old and unreliable force. Technology, on the other hand, was logical, predictable, and ultimately superior. Outside the workshop, the forest shifted uneasily, as if the trees themselves sensed the disturbance. Thrawn, however, was too absorbed in his work to notice. Ellery moved silently through the woods, her steps as light as the breeze. She wore the traditional robes of a night elf mage, a deep indigo fabric that seemed to shimmer with the power of the stars. Her long silver hair flowed down her back, blending with the pale moonlight filtering through the canopy. The magic of the forest was strong here, and she could feel it coursing through her veins, connecting her to the ancient spirits that protected the land. But something was wrong. The magic felt off, like it was being tugged at, disrupted by some external force. Ellery's heart quickened as she moved closer to the source of the disturbance. Her hand instinctively hovered over her staff, ready to call upon the power of nature if needed. Through the thick underbrush, she spotted the gnome camp, a collection of small, mechanical contraptions scattered across a clearing. Ellery narrowed her eyes. She had heard rumors of gnomish inventions, of their obsession with machines and their disregard for the natural world. But to see it here, on her people's sacred land, was an affront to everything she stood for. Her gaze fell on a figure inside the largest tent, short and stocky, his back hunched over some device. He wore thick goggles and was muttering to himself as he tinkered with the machine in front of him. This was no ordinary trespasser. He was a gnome inventor, one of the most dangerous types of intruders. Ellery stepped into the clearing, her presence almost ethereal as she approached the tent. The magic of the forest swirled around her, a protective aura that seemed to grow stronger with each step. The gnome didn't notice her until she was almost at the entrance of the tent. "Stop what you're doing," Ellery said, her voice calm but commanding. Thrawn jumped, nearly dropping his wrench. He turned to face her, his goggles making his eyes appear unnaturally large. "What in the blazes who are you?" he demanded, straightening up and wiping his hands on his apron. "I am Ellery, a protector of these lands," she replied. "And you are trespassing." Thrawn raised an eyebrow, his expression quickly shifting from surprise to annoyance. "Trespassing? On this empty plot of land? Hardly. I'm here on official gnome business, testing an invention that could change the future of both our people." Ellery stepped forward, her eyes narrowing. "Your machines are disturbing the natural balance. The magic of this forest is sacred, and your devices are tearing at its very fabric. You must leave." Thrawn let out a bark of laughter. "Magic? Sacred? You're clinging to the past, elf. Magic is nothing more than a crutch for those who refuse to embrace progress. Technology, that's the future, and my invention will prove it." Ellery's hand tightened around her staff. She could feel the magic of the forest swelling around her, responding to her growing anger. "You're tampering with forces you don't understand, gnome. I'm warning you, if you don't stop this, there will be consequences." Thrawn crossed his arms, his expression defiant. Consequences? From you, please. My machines are designed to counter magic. You don't stand a chance. Elra's patience snapped. With a flick of her wrist, she summoned a gust of wind that blew through the tent, scattering Thrawn's tools and papers across the ground. The forest responded to her call, the trees rustling with a newfound energy. Thrawn's eyes widened, but he quickly regained his composure. Impressive. But let's see how your magic fares against this. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device, pressing a button on its side. The machine hummed to life, emitting a faint, high-pitched whine. Elra felt it immediately. The magic around her wavered, like a flame flickering in the wind. Her connection to the forest, once so strong, began to weaken. She clenched her teeth, struggling to maintain her control over the arcane forces. Thrawn grinned. You see? Technology is superior. Your magic is obsolete. But Elra was not so easily defeated. She closed her eyes, focusing on the deep, ancient magic that lay beneath the surface. The magic of the forest was more than just a tool, it was alive, a part of the very essence of the land. And it would not be so easily tamed. With a deep breath, she reached out to the spirits of the forest, calling upon their aid. The trees around them began to stir, their branches twisting and reaching toward the sky. The ground trembled as the roots of the trees broke through the soil, wrapping themselves around Thrawn's machines. The gnome inventor's smug expression faltered as he watched his devices being swallowed by the earth. Wada, what are you doing? I warned you, Elra said, her voice calm and steady. The magic of this land is not something you can control with your machines. Thrawn's eyes darted around the clearing, his mind racing for a solution. He quickly pulled out another device from his belt, a small, spherical object with glowing blue lines etched into its surface. He pressed a button, and the device began to pulse with energy. Elra's eyes widened as she felt the air around her grow heavy with a strange, unfamiliar power. This was no ordinary machine. Whatever Thrawn had just activated, it was far more advanced than anything she had encountered before. The device emitted a low hum, and suddenly, Elra's magic was completely cut off. The protective aura around her flickered and vanished, leaving her vulnerable. Thrawn smirked, stepping forward with newfound confidence. This is my latest invention, a device that neutralizes all magic within its radius. You see, Elra, magic is just another form of energy. And energy can be manipulated, controlled. Elra gritted her teeth, her mind racing. She had underestimated the gnome's technology, but she would not be defeated so easily. Even without her magic, she was still a skilled fighter. With a quick motion, she drew a small dagger from her belt and lunged at Thrawn. The gnome barely had time to react, stumbling backward as Elra's blade sliced through the air, narrowly missing him. Thrawn scrambled to activate another one of his devices, a small mechanical arm that extended from his backpack and grabbed Elra's wrist, holding her in place. Enough! He shouted, his voice tinged with panic. Elra struggled against the mechanical arm, but it was no use. The gnome's invention was stronger than she had anticipated. Thrawn took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. Look, he said, his voice more measured now, we don't have to fight. This doesn't have to end in violence. Elra glared at him. You're destroying the forest. You're disturbing the balance of magic. You think that can just be solved with words? Thrawn hesitated, his eyes flickering with doubt. I didn't realize the extent of it. But this isn't just about magic versus technology. We can learn from each other. We don't have to be enemies. Elra's grip on her dagger loosened, but her expression remained guarded. And how do I know you won't use that knowledge to destroy everything we hold dear? Thrawn sighed, releasing the mechanical arm's grip on her wrist. Because I don't want to destroy anything. I want to build something better. Something that combines the best of both worlds. Elra paused, her mind racing. Could it be possible? Could technology and magic truly coexist? Or was this just another ploy by the gnomes to seize control? Before she could answer, the ground beneath them shook violently. Both Elra and Thrawn turned toward the center of the clearing. where one of Thrun's larger machines had started to spark and whine. The device was malfunctioning, its energy output growing unstable. "Oh no," Thrun muttered, his eyes wide with fear. "That's not good." Elra's heart pounded in her chest as the machine's whine grew louder, the air around it shimmering with uncontrolled energy. This wasn't just a malfunction, this was a disaster waiting to happen. "We have to stop it," Thrun said, rushing toward the machine. Elra approached the Gnomish camp, her eyes narrowing with resolve. The sight of the contraption, so metallic and alien to her senses, filled her with a deep unease. The air was thick with the unnational hum of machinery, the vibrations against the ground making the earth feel foreign. Elra's instincts told her that this interference with the magical essence of the forest could have dire consequences. She drew closer, her staff glowing faintly as she prepared herself for a confrontation. The gnomes, scattered and busy with their devices, seemed oblivious to her approach until a sudden, loud clang pierced the air. Elra's sharp eyes caught sight of Tinker Thrun, the gnomish engineer, hastily adjusting one of the machines. His movements were quick and precise, his focus entirely on the task at hand. Thrun didn't notice Elra until she was nearly upon him. She stepped into the clearing, her presence like a sudden gust of wind that made the leaves rustle in protest. The gnome looked up, his expression shifting from concentration to surprise. "Stop what you're doing!" Elra's voice rang out, her tone firm and commanding. She gripped her staff tightly, the magic within it ready to respond. Thrun blinked, momentarily taken aback. "Who are you, and what do you want?" he demanded, straightening up and wiping his hands on a cloth. "You're meddling in important work here." Elra's eyes flashed with anger. "You're disrupting the balance of magic in this forest. These machines are tampering with the very essence of our land. You have no right to be here." Thrun raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing on his lips. "Ah, a night elf. I've heard about your kind. Think you're the guardians of some ancient, outdated power? We're here to show that technology can achieve far more than any spell." Elra's patience wore thin. "Your technology is a threat to the natural order. If you refuse to leave, I will be forced to take action." Thrun laughed, a sound that grated on Elra's nerves. "Action? You think your little spells can stop us? We've designed these machines specifically to counter magic." Without further warning, Thrun activated one of his devices. The machine emitted a low-frequency hum, and Elra felt an immediate dampening of her magical connection. Her staff's glow flickered, and she stumbled slightly. It was as if the very air was being sucked of its magical energy. Elra's eyes narrowed as she struggled to maintain her composure. "You're playing with forces you don't understand," she warned. "This isn't just about technology versus magic. It's about respect for the natural world." Thrun's smile widened. "Respect? You see, that's the problem. You cling to the past, afraid of what's new. We're here to challenge that, to prove that we can build a future where technology and magic are no longer at odds." Elra's determination hardened. "You've left me no choice." With a sudden, fluid motion, Elra raised her staff and chanted an incantation. The air around her crackled with raw energy as she summoned a barrier of protective magic. The barrier pulsed and shimmered, pushing back against the interference of Thrun's machine. The forest seemed to respond, its natural magic flowing back into the space, revitalizing the land. Thrun's eyes widened in surprise. "Impressive," he admitted grudgingly. "But this is just the beginning." The confrontation escalated quickly. Elra and Thrun engaged in a battle of wits and will, each side testing the limits of the other. The gnomes, sensing the intensity of the conflict, began scrambling to defend their equipment and counter Elra's spells. Thrun continued to activate more machines, each one designed to weaken or nullify magic, but Elra's mastery of the arcane allowed her to resist their effects. The clash of technology and magic became a fierce display, a spectacle of lights and mechanical noises against the backdrop of the forest's ancient tranquility. For every spell Elra cast, Thrun's machines retaliated, creating a chaotic dance of energy and metal. As the night wore on, the exhaustion began to show. Elra's magic, though powerful, was being stretched thin by the relentless assaults of the machines. Thrun, too, was feeling the strain of maintaining his devices under the pressure of Elra's persistent attacks. The forest, caught in the crossfire, seemed to groan under the strain, its magic flickering and fluctuating with each blast of energy. In a moment of rare clarity amidst the chaos, Elra and Thrun locked eyes. There was a mutual recognition of the other's skill and determination. Elra, breathing heavily, called out, "This isn't what either of us wanted." "We're destroying something beautiful." Thrun, though still resolute, hesitated. "Perhaps," he admitted. "But we can't back down now. There's too much at stake." A brief lull in the confrontation allowed both sides to regroup. Elra took a deep breath, her mind racing. She knew that continuing the battle would only lead to more destruction. There had to be another way, a way to show Thrun the value of harmony between magic and technology. As the night deepened, Elra proposed a truce. "Let's stop this pointless destruction. Instead, let's find a way to understand each other's perspectives. If we work together, perhaps we can find a balance that respects both our ways." Thrun considered her offer, his gaze shifting to the damaged equipment and the forest's suffering. The idea of collaboration was foreign to him, but the sight of the forest's magic struggling to hold its ground tugged at his conscience. "I suppose," Thrun said slowly, "there might be some merit in exploring this balance you speak of. But it won't be easy." Elra nodded, a small smile forming. "Nothing worth achieving ever is." The two sides agreed to a temporary ceasefire. Elra and Thrun, though still wary of each other, began the process of dialogue. They shared their knowledge and perspectives, each gaining insight into the other's world. Thrun learned of the deep, intricate bonds between the night elves and their land, while Elra gained an appreciation for the potential of technology to complement rather than replace magic. Over the next few days, they worked together on a new project, a fusion of magic and technology that aimed to enhance rather than diminish. Elra used her arcane knowledge to imbue Thrun's machines with a gentle flow of magical energy, while Thrun adapted his designs to be more attuned to the natural world. The results were promising. The machines no longer disrupted the forest's magic. Instead, they began to work in harmony with it. The forest's energy seemed to flourish, and the once strained balance began to heal. Both gnomes and night elves observed the positive changes with a mixture of wonder and cautious optimism. As the project neared completion, Elra and Thrun stood together at the edge of the forest, looking at the fruits of their labor. The machines, now integrated with magical elements, hummed softly with a harmonious glow. The forest seemed to breathe more freely, its magic no longer under siege. "It seems we've found a way to merge our strengths," Elra said, her voice filled with satisfaction. Thrun nodded, a rare smile on his face. "Yes, it appears we have. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new era, one where magic and technology coexist, each enhancing the other." The two unlikely allies parted with a newfound respect for each other in their respective crafts. The forest, once a battleground, now stood as a testament to the possibilities that arose when disparate forces came together. Elra and Thrun had not only bridged the gap between magic and technology but had also paved the way for a future where both could thrive in harmony. And so, the ancient forest continued to whisper its secrets, now enriched by the convergence of old and new, as a new chapter began in the chronicles of magic and science.